It's the Eagle Community Television Forum with your host, Gary Shorman.
Hi, and welcome to the Forum on Eagle Communications. It's great to have you watching along as our Forum program is brought to you by Hayes Med. Our guest today, not only do we have some good questions that we'll be talking about, but he has some great answers. His name is Doug Williams, and Doug is the interim director of Grow Hayes, plus other projects throughout Hayes that we see your name and face around at certain times. Doug, welcome to our program.
Well, thank you. Good to be here.
You know, you and I sat down, we talked about, Grow Hayes. What exactly is Grow Hayes? So tell us that, and then we'll talk about how you got involved with it and kind of what the project is going to be doing. So what's Grow Hayes?
Well, Grow Hayes is the organization that was formerly the Ellis County Coalition for Economic Development. And in March of this year, the Board of Directors determined that Ellis County Coalition for Economic Development, as you can see, is a lot to say.
A lot of words.
So we decided to change our name to Grow Hayes. Still involved in business creation, business recruitment, trying to get businesses to come to Hayes, grow businesses in Hayes, workforce development, all of the things that contribute to a growing economy.
Now, when that happened, you're obviously, it says interim before your name.
Yes.
Some changes took place earlier in the year that all of a sudden left the board with some options. What's with the interim director? How does that fit into your world? Because you were on the board, probably still are on the board.
Yes, I came on to the board of directors in January of this year. And then in May of this year, the executive director at that time left what was then Grow Hayes. And so as a board member, I volunteered to step up and take over the responsibilities, the day-to-day responsibilities of the director until such time as the board chooses a permanent director.
Well, that's one of those things, anytime you're on a board, those things can happen where someone has to set in. You have a long history in our community of doing entrepreneurial type of things.
Yes.
Does this fit with that? Is that what gets you excited about Grow Hayes?
Well, it does, actually. I've told a lot of people that I've been doing economic development in Hayes for 40 years. It's kind of what I've always done, although not in the official capacity like I'm working now. But in starting a business, growing a business, I've been doing that a long time. And so that's what I like to do and enjoy working with people who are trying to do the same thing. Business owners who are trying to grow their business or those who might be looking to relocate into Hayes.
Now, I'm guessing there'll be some suggestions that you get along the line on how to do this correctly. When you talk about growing Hayes, there's a broad stroke of, say, what businesses can be here. The coalition was working on really a broad spectrum of businesses as well. Has that focus stayed the same, of looking at everything from retail to industrial to any sort of job or any sort of company that creates jobs?
It has.
What's the scope?
It has. The scope is pretty broad, as you just noted. Retail, manufacturing, industrial, service-related, both recruitment as well as trying to help grow existing businesses. We cover a lot of territory.
One of the things I know that keeps coming up is even housing, and you deal with that day in, day out. I'll say in your real job,
right.
But you have, that's another issue that keeps coming up. Has that changed in the model? Is that still something that the coalition is looking at?
We do look at that. We actually have a program designed to try and help the housing environment in Hayes. It's called the Housing Rehab Program, where the coalition, or Grow Hayes as it is now, will finance a remodel project and try and take a home that's in need of repair, turn it into a home that might be affordable for a young family who's needing a better quality of home than they have currently.
One of the things in these mini projects you're starting, we'll kind of list some of those things that you're working on, but one of those things is a company called Brief Space. And the coalition's office, now Grow Hayes office, is now in a different location.
Yes.
And you've just had a ribbon cutting on that.
Right.
So everybody knows where it is. So whenever they have a new business product, they can bring it in and get started. But Brief Space is, I won't call it an incubator, but to some extent it's a way for a business to get started. How's that work?
It is. It's what we term a co-working space, where there is a large number of spaces available for people to come in and work, collaborate. We have shared printer, we have shared meeting facilities, conference rooms that all are as well as high-speed broadband, thanks to Eagle Communications, that allow a group to cost-effectively find an office environment, share with others, and operate their business.
Well, that been working okay? I mean,
Little
do you have
early
some
to tell,
people there?
but we have some people there. Of course, our offices are there. We also have some other people who have become members, and we are confident that more and more people will find use of the facility once once they hear about it, hopefully through forums like this.
Well, you know, Doug, I talked to somebody the other day that just had moved in there or was thinking about doing that, in the process of doing it. And it's like, wow, how cool is it to have somebody else around, so you're not just in your home all by yourself, except for maybe your dog, cat, and kids.
Right.
They go and actually go to work and have a spot to work out of that not only has great connectivity to the outside world, but also has some of the resources you need when you're actually trying to run an office, whether it be somebody to help with some printing or somebody to, some of those things that you can get when you're in a environment like that.
Definitely. That's the whole concept. Get out of the basement, get out of the house, get out of the car, get into an environment that's much more conducive
That's
to
a
business.
marketing thing. Get out of the basement into the real world.
There you go.
Right here at Brief
There you
Space.
go.
Did you model that after anything else or anything specific?
There are a lot of them popping up around the country. We're on the small end of communities that would have these, but there's one in Manhattan. You'll see them in the metropolitan areas like Kansas City, Denver. Lots of places that you're starting to see these type of facilities.
So if somebody would like to look at this, where do they go? They missed the open house, so where do they go to take a look at this to say, hey, this would work for me?
They go to 219 West 10th Street, downtown Hayes, and would love to have anybody come down, take a tour. It's an impressive building.
What's it look like in there?
Well, it's pretty much open seating. There are some private conference areas, but there's a couple of loft areas that are pretty cool, and a lot of whiteboards, a lot of workstation space. It's all brand new, built in a very industrial look, open ceilings, and it's pretty cool.
So if you show up, you claim your space every day, or do you actually, when you buy into the program, you actually have a spot that is your spot?
Depends on your level of membership. We have what we call a hot seat, where you just go in and find an open spot. And then we have a dedicated spot where you can actually carve out your place, put your monitor, your printer, your minion, your plant, whatever you want on the desk, and it's yours.
Well, I thought I was the only one that was in the hot seat every day, but you have one down there, too.
Indeed we do. Indeed we do.
Let's talk about the elevator pitch that those of us in the community should talk about, because that's part of the Grow Hayes idea. And you say, how do we help our community grow? And you're assuming most people want it to grow.
I'm hoping that's the case.
And if that's the case, we're out traveling, we're doing different things. You run into somebody down at your business downtown. What is the 60-second elevator pitch that you're talking about with Grow Hayes that people should be talking about? Because I know there's a whole list of different things that really allow you to say, hey, Hayes is a good town.
Right.
But what are you recommending people talk about when they talk about Hayes?
Well, I view the brief space much like, if you're talking about brief space specifically, like an aquatic park or the ball fields or something like that. It's almost a quality of life issue. You've got a space where you can go and utilize at a very cost-effective rate, collaborate with other people, have access to resources that you don't have when you're working out of your home. If you need to do a presentation to a group of people, you can do it here. If you want to have a conference with 10 or 15 people, we've got the facilities to do that. If you need to go talk to another person who might have expertise in marketing or whatever it might be, they're probably sitting next to you or close by. So that's what this type of facility is.
Well, when you look at that, I think, Hayes tends to be a hub for people that will base here and then go to other parts of western Kansas specifically.
Right.
And so I would think that would be a real tool for some people to use, whether they used it every day or whether they used it on certain days to meet with people and have those type of, I say, more productive days than trying to work from their basement.
Right, right. No, exactly. We've also had sales reps who come in to visit Hayes Medical Center, Midwest Energy, those kind of things. They need some place to work. They don't want to work out of their hotel. Internet connection in their hotel might not be good. They may want to associate with some other people, so we've had those kind of people come down as well.
All right, Doug, thanks for being here. We're going to come back and and zoom out a little bit over the whole community and talk about that story, because Hayes has so many things to offer a business. I want to talk about that when we come back as well. Our guest is Doug Williams, who's the interim director of Grow Hayes. Back with more after this.
Hayes Med is your first and best choice for healthcare. They're the only facility providing tertiary level services in this region, with more than 70 physicians and 26 specialties ranging from heart, orthopedic, spine care, cancer, obstetrics and gynecology, wound care, rehabilitation and surgery, including the Da Vinci robotic surgery. Hayes Med is your comprehensive health provider for people throughout Western Kansas. Hayes Med, helping people be healthy.
Eagle Communications is your ultimate business partner. We provide business class phone with customizable features and fast, reliable internet. Your knowledgeable team at Technology Solutions has a broad base of IT services to meet your needs. Let the experts at Marketing Solutions get your message to the right people on the best platforms. The only piece missing is your business. Call Eagle Communications today at 877-61-EAGLE.
Welcome back to the second half of our forum here on Eagle TV. Our forum is brought to you by Hayes Med, and I always like to put in this reminder to send me a note so we can talk to people like Doug. If you have an idea, let me know. Gary.Shorman@eaglecom.net. You can also go online on Facebook. Are you on Facebook?
I am.
Is Grow Hayes on Facebook?
They are.
Yes, you can go on Facebook under ECTV Forum, and you find us there on Facebook. Give us a post there and let us know who or what you would like us to talk about, and we'll do our best to get those people on the air. Again, our guest is Doug Williams. Doug is the interim director of Grow Hayes. Grow Hayes is a former coalition for economic development in Ellis County, and it's been that group that has pushed growing our community with new businesses, services, etc. It's now called Grow Hayes. Talk about that a little bit, the funding that goes into some of the projects, specifically the Brief Space project downtown. How is that sort of thing funded? And we'll ask a little bit about how's the coalition and Grow Hayes funded as well.
Okay. Well, the Brief Space and several of the projects that the Grow Hayes is involved with have been funded by the Dane Hansen Foundation. They've been a very generous contributor to these projects and have contributed significantly to economic growth. There's a training program. I mentioned the housing rehab program earlier. Mm-hmm. All of those have been funded by the Dane Hansen Foundation.
Well, I know they do great work of looking at how to build communities as well. When you look at the project and what's happened down there, it takes money to do that.
Yes.
It takes money to do it right.
Absolutely.
And I know they've been helpful in a lot of things. So thanks to them, that's going forward. As far as the coalition, how does the funding set up for that? And how does that, work with staff and team? Because it takes money to pay people and keep them there.
Right. Well, Grow Hayes has historically been funded primarily by the city and county. Currently, the city and the county are not providing any funding. Grow Hayes made a decision at the first of this year to try and go it with private funding. Mm-hmm. So part of my job and some of the directors is to go out and solicit funds from businesses to contribute to Grow Hayes to help us mm-hmm. do what we need to do, which is Grow Hayes and Ellis County.
Well, that makes it so important as our business base grows, because taxes, et cetera, to do that. And when you take a look at making that happen, how does that work with other organizations? And you mentioned the city and county. How does that work with like the Heart of America for the property out by the airport and the industrial development and incentives that people have? Because obviously it's hard to get incentives if you don't have support from city and county.
Sure. Well, they're critical to that process. All incentive requests start with Grow Hayes. If a company's coming into Hayes and they want whatever type of incentives that we may offer, be it CID or a TIF or transient guest tax refund or what have you, they start with Grow Hayes. We have an application process that we start with. We then forward that on to the city or the county, whichever the case may be, for their consideration. Heart of America is a property owner. They own some property out where Glassman Climate Control mm-hmm. is and the Army Reserve. They have some property out there. They've historically had property out on Commerce Parkway. And we are the representative for that organization in trying to promote their property, and they're very involved in economic development too. They want growth in their areas for obvious reasons.
How does that work? I mean, just in general, does it work well? And some of this may be more one of those things, you hear that I'd like to work versus what actually works. But in reality, is it still a world where you can go out and recruit somebody to come to your community? Or with, you know, things like internet and you know, research, and people say, hey, we want to go to Hays or Western Kansas, and now we have to find a way to make it work here. How does that process work in today's world versus maybe what it did 20 years ago, where you had to go knock on doors in Chicago and New York and all those places?
Well, certainly the world's a smaller place, and these companies are very familiar with what we have to offer. Demographic information is available in any number of ways. They can look at a community. We're out there competing for those type of companies, just like every other community in America.
Every other community, yeah.
Competing. So we try and recruit. We also try and retain. You know, retention is a big deal. We want to keep what we have. We want to help what we have grow. And that's tough in Ellis County due to the labor situation. We have a shortage of labor, and so we have some companies that want to grow, but they have trouble finding laborers. So it's a lot of balls in the air all the time.
Well, appreciate the effort you've taken on here, Doug, because that just kind of explains the challenges, because not only are we out recruiting and trying to compete with other communities, but those other communities can also try to recruit companies that are from here to move to other places. And so if you're out there, you look at the tax base, those people that bring employers or employees to work, how they pay taxes and what that does to help a community grow. It puts you in a pretty exciting role, but yet pretty challenging too, to make sure that happens as well. Somebody wants to find out more, whether a company that might be watching this or whether somebody that knows of someone, how do they find out more? You mentioned a Facebook page, but how do you find out about Grow
Facebook
Hays?
page, growhays.com. Go to our website, has contact information. They can call me anytime. Various ways to get hold of us, but I'd start with our website. That's got all the contact information, and if you want to go to Facebook, that's great too.
So on our website, we look there, it says Grow Hays, and it shows some of the places you can click to and go through that way to do it?
It does. Shows available properties for sale. It shows information about Hays, that type of thing. So it's a good place to start.
As interim director, what kind of team do you have over there? Because is it a one-man show, or do you have some people helping you?
It's not
really
a one-man show.
Somebody really gets the work done.
Well, exactly. I have Ernie Sly is the executive assistant for Grow Hays. Has been there a long time, and she makes things go. I just show up and make messes, and she cleans them up. So she's the critical one.
Doug, thank you for being on our program today. I hope you go to the Grow Hays website and take a look at that, growhays.com.
Yes.
Check that out, find out more about Grow Hays. And also, if you get a chance, the brief space downtown is a really cool idea for being able to find somebody that may be in the basement, maybe in the attic, maybe in a place in their house where they're not getting done what they need to do. They have people coming to town, they want to have a real space. Go take a look at that, because that's a great idea, and your office is there. Stop in and you can see Doug and the team as well over there.
Absolutely.
Our guest has been Doug Williams, the interim director of Grow Hays. The program is brought to you by Hays Med and by Eagle Communications, our community connected.